All right, guys, time to do some more tinkering on the Super Duty here. So, this truck doesn't have any options on it. If you've been watching the channel for a while, this is an XLT, but it's extremely stripped down truck. I mean, basically this is an XL with chrome bumpers, as far as I can tell. This truck doesn't have any options, which is kind of pitiful. When I was growing up, the XLT trim was a pretty nice trim level, but apparently nowadays, if you want a decent trim level, you got to go way on up the scale. So I've been doing a few things to this truck to kind of make it my truck, kind of make it what I want it to be. Earlier you saw me put the 7-inch touchscreen radio in there and had a new body control module put into it. So now the courtesy lights inside work like they're supposed to. I've done a lot of maintenance on the truck too, but I feel like mechanically the truck is pretty sound at this point. So now I'm just kind of focusing on doing some things that make the truck more comfortable and a nicer place to be on the inside, basically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swap out the driver's side seat cushion. This truck's got 84,000 miles on it, and the seat cushion is kind of getting worn out. So I suspect that the previous owner was probably a pretty big guy, and he probably slid his butt off the seat every time he got out of the truck. That seems to be a common thing, not just on Fords, but I've seen this, on Ram trucks as well. If the owner of the truck doesn't use the step rail and the grab handle to climb in and out of the truck, if instead what they're doing is they're sliding off the edge of the seat every day, it'll break down these seat cushions really fast. So this truck has that issue. I can actually feel the framework of the seat underneath my tail. So I'm going to replace the seat cushion. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and turn it into a heated seat also, which will be really nice this winter, especially considering that this is a Power Stroke diesel and it takes this thing a half hour to warm up when I leave for work in the morning. So I did a little research and I found this company called the Seat Shop. And the Seat Shop, boy, that's hard to say, tongue twister. The Seat Shop sells what they call Durofoam seat cushions. And basically these Durofoam seat cushions are just a little bit higher density. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're firmer when you sit in them, but the density in the foam supposedly has been ramped up. And what that means is this seat cushion should last longer. This edge over here is the one that gets rolled down and beat up and torn as the years go by. And this is the area of the seat that seems to be broken down in this one as far as I can tell. So this Durofoam seat cushion should not only feel really nice, but it should last longer. And like I said, while I'm at it, I bought a Dorman Universal Seat Heater kit. So this kit has everything you need in it to turn one of your seats into a heated seat. You got the heated elements here, the heating pads. There's a wire harness, a high-low switch. You got a fuse tap in here so you can run the wire directly to a fuse box. There's a tool in here for your hog rings, and they give you some hog rings and some wire ties. So everything that I should need to make this seat a heated seat is in this box. So we're going to do that also. So this is going to be a really nice upgrade. I'm not a young dude anymore. I've got a bad back. My back's been tore up for years, and it's really become a priority for me as I get older to have a comfortable seat to sit in. So this is going to be really nice. I've already done some pretty minor adjustments on the back of the seat for my lumbar, and I think I've got the seat finally to where I'm comfortable there, but I just need to get the butt area checked out, right? So let's go ahead and get started. Obviously, the first thing I got to do is take the seat out of the truck. And since this is a stripper model truck and it doesn't have power seats or anything, it should be pretty straightforward. 4 bolts. I think there is one wire harness just for the seat belt latch. And take the seat out. I'll probably put it back here on the tailgate so that I can show you what I'm doing. And it'll make it easier to work on too. So let's get going. I got the seat out. Now these are going to be 13 millimeter, at least on my truck they were. And you're probably going to have some little plastic covers on there. So just take a small flat blade screwdriver or a pick tool or something like that, and you can gently pop this cover off and that'll expose the bolt. And like I said, they were 13 millimeter on my truck. Now once you get your seat out, it's going to be a great time to get the vacuum cleaner out, because look at that. 5 years of nastiness and junk down here underneath the seat. So I'm going to get the vacuum and clean that up. The only other thing I had to do was disconnect the wire harness. These are pretty simple to work, but you're going to want a cat claw tool because you got a couple of these little snap rivets here. And let me show you how those work real quick, because they're kind of interesting. So up underneath of the seat on this one, you've got a stud here. And what I found that I could do is I just took some needle nose pliers in here and squeezed the end of that. And then I was able to slide that catch down off of there. And then this one just snaps into place. Boy, that's a fuzzy image, but you can kind of see how that works. So really I could have, it was plugged up into here. No, it was in here. Right here is where it was. Up there, it was stuck into that. So really, I could have left that there, and I think I will go ahead and push that back in there, because really all I had to do was take this loose and then disconnect the harness. But this has one of those, you know, Ford loves these things. I've seen these on Rams and Jeeps also. You basically just push that back and it will release the wire connector there. So like I said, on my seat, that's pretty much all there is to it, because it's not a power seat. Now, if you've got a fancy trim level, like a, I don't know, like a platinum or something like that, you're probably going to have a ton of extra stuff in here to disconnect. All right, so let's see how much of this I can actually do with one hand while I'm holding the camera. So you've probably already seen me do this. You got a zipper on this corner, and there's a zipper over here on this corner. If you reach in here, you can actually pull out the end of the zipper. So I'm going to unzip this on both corners, and then we're going to go up under here. You can do it from the back, but since the seat is out, I'll show you. You can reach up from the back, and you've got these two little elastic straps here. And what we're going to want to do is I'm going to disconnect this right here, because that strap is around that. So you can see the clasp right there that that elastic strap hooks onto, but you got to pull this free first. All right, so there's that one, and then there's one over here too. Kind of hard to get in there and see it, but there's that elastic strap. And stand the seat back up again, and now I'll go ahead and unzip it, and then you've got one of those, well, looks like it's already undone. But there's actually, oh no, here it is down here. There's actually one of those slide channel clasps down here also. And then I'm just going to take this fabric and just roll it up about halfway, just enough that I can get in there to the foam and put my heating element on. I don't want to take this all the way off, because that's fine. Not doing anything with that other than sticking the heating element in here. So I'm just going to roll that up, and then I'll begin the process of trying to get this seat cushion out. See how it's broken down right there? So that's what we're going to fix. So let me show you where I'm at in the disassembly process thus far. So this connector right here is for your airbag. By the way, they do have an airbag in the side of these seats, so be very, very careful. But that's what this connector is for, and I had to disconnect it here because in order to take the seat back fabric up and out of here, you got to take that airbag wire through this slot right here. You notice that mine is cut, and you'll see why here in just a minute. And then the other thing that goes through that hole, see that hole right there? The lumbar cable that snakes all the way around and then goes through the lumbar area of the seat. Well, I absolutely could not get these to snap off of here, and I was afraid I was going to break something. So rather than breaking my lumbar system, I thought it would be better to just cut this. You know, this used to be together like that. So I snipped it. Hopefully that won't come back and bite me, but I think that these clasps will go back together in the end. Anyway, now I can get this through here and stuff that down like so. And then when I stand the seat back up, I should be able to pull the rest of this fabric on up to where I need it. There's the airbag. Got to be very careful working around here. Make sure I don't mess up any of this, and it goes back exactly like it was. But like I said, I just need to pull this up far enough to slide my heating element pad in there and stick it on. and then I can put this part back together. So one thing you'll notice is that you've got these little clips all the way around here. So these particular seats don't actually use hog rings. They've got this little snap system. So this part right here, kind of like a rail all the way around, snaps into these little provisions around the seat cushion. And it's kind of the same way back here too. So one thing I noticed is when you unsnap those from the old cushion, be careful, because if you just jerk on it, it will actually rip the whole thing out of the foam. Then you got problems. So anyway, that's how that works. You don't actually have to fool with the hog rings like you do on older vehicles, which is kind of cool in a way. So that makes it a little simpler. And then I've got the Dorman heat pad installed. It's just you peel off the backing, and then you just stick them on where you want them. Make sure that you can still get to those clips around there. The one in the back of the seat here was a little bit more difficult because it was actually wider than it needed to be for this particular seat. So, but you don't really want to cut on these. You don't want to cut on them because you can cause them to short out. So I just kind of had to wrap it around in there. You'll see what I'm talking about when you're in there. I just kind of had to wrap it around and push it down in the channel. And it's in there pretty good, and I was still able to get some of those to snap back in. So I think when everything is tidied up, it should be okay. And then obviously you want to orient it so that your wiring will come out the back like I've got here, see? And yes, I've moved into my living room because it's cold and dark outside. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you that. So here's the Durofoam cushion. Got to put the fabric back on it now. Here's the old one, and it was kind of worn out over there. Somebody had been pretty hard on this one over the years, so hopefully this Durofoam material will work out better. So when you go to put the fabric back on the cushion, wrangling this fabric around the cushion can be a little bit difficult, but just take your time. Make sure you get all of your clasps all the way around free. You'll notice there's some, like this one, for example, that can get hidden down in there if you're not careful. So just take your time, get it all nice and snug, and then you're ready to put it back together. These clasps right here are the worst because you have to turn them up under themselves and then hook it onto the edge of the framework here. You can kind of look at that and see how it works. There's the actual channel right there. But like I said, you got to roll it up under itself and then hook it up on here. And it's not very easy to do, but I'm going to go around now, try to get all those installed again, and the bottom part will be done. You notice I made sure that my wires are coming out down here on the bottom where I can get to them to wire this thing up. Okay, so as far as this side cover over here goes, you're going to want to take that loose so that you can get to the clasps that are on the outboard side of the seat. So you've got a T20 right in here in the top, and then actually it's right down here. There's the T20. This stud right here, this plastic piece right here, there's a provision there that just slides down on that stud. And once you slide it down on there, then you secure it with that single T20 screw. Now over here, you've got, get the flashlight. You've got your knob there for your lumbar. And then you got the one back here for your tilt. And both of those just have the little spring clips on them, so you can pull those straight out and they should pop off. And then once you pop it off, you'll see the little spring clip in there that you can release when you slide it back on and then pop it down. It's helpful to have like a little pick tool to get in there and do that. And actually, I may just go out there, and I got to put it back on anyway. I may go ahead and get it and show you. Here you can see the little clip that I was talking about. And what you want to do is get your pick tool in here and just pull that up. See how I released it there? And when you do that, this thing will just pop right off. Now you can slide this back on, and then you can push this down, and it will lock it back into place. On this one for the lumbar, you can see that I didn't actually release it. I just pulled this straight out and it came off. And sometimes you can have luck doing that, putting them back on too, but I just wanted to show you how that worked in case it, you know, if it puts up a fight and you don't want to break it, that's how you do it. You just pull that up and it should release it no problem. Now, in addition to that one T20 up here, I'm going to try and zoom in because you do have a snap clip right here, sort of like a Christmas tree almost. And what you want to do is get on the inside with some pliers and squeeze that together, and then it'll pop right out. So don't break that off. So it's all finished up, I think. One of the things that you'll notice is that there's not actually any hardware that physically holds the seat cushion to the frame of the seat. What actually happens is the seat cushion just lays in there, and then the fabric holds it all together, because when you wrap the fabric around and hook your clasps all the way around, that's what secures the whole thing. So you don't actually have any hardware down here other than that one T20 over here that holds your side cover on. Other than that, everything is pretty much just snap clips and that sort of thing. So I got the back of the seat going back together now. I got my lumbar hooked back up in the loose position that I like so that it doesn't kill my back. Ran the cables back through this incision that I made. Hopefully that won't come back to bite me. We'll find out here very shortly. I got my airbag harness hooked back up and snapped back into position. Here are my cables for my heated seat. And I think at this point I'm ready to fold this back over and zip everything back up again. Just don't forget, you've got a combination of like little push rivets. Some of this is like Velcro. It just Velcros together. Of course, you got zippers. There's all kinds of different things back here. So just take your time and don't forget anything. Now we're ready to close it back up again, and you can see these little elastic straps that go on here. Actually, I just got carried away because I got to take this airbag. Got to disconnect that again to get the fabric loop around there. There's where that one goes. But anyway, we're going to get this all zipped back up, and then the hard part is the wiring. So at this point, I think I can quit taking up the living room and move the seat back outside and reinstall it. All right, let's try it out. Oh yeah. So there was a guy on the forum who said that he installed these Durofoam seat cushions and he felt like they were too firm. And you know, like I said, one of the things that they advertise about these is that they're not really supposed to be a lot more firm, maybe just a smidgen, but not much more firm feeling than the factory cushion. They claim that the extra density just makes these last longer. It's supposed to be the sell on them. But I have to say, sitting here right now, they actually are quite a bit firmer. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing. I already feel really good sitting here. I almost feel like that the Ford factory cushion is a little bit too soft. I really do. You kind of sink down into it. It reminds me a lot of the, remember the 22 Nissan Frontier that we had on the channel a year or two ago? Those have what they claim is really sophisticated zero gravity seats in it. I felt like they were too soft. You just kind of fall down into the seat, you know, and that can sometimes be worse on your back. If you have a bad back, sometimes a really soft cushion can be worse for you. And I feel like that the Ford factory cushion was a little bit too soft. So yes, this is quite a bit firmer, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Obviously, I need to drive the truck on a long trip with these seats to know for sure. But man, I'll tell you, just sitting here like this right now, these feel really good. You know, I don't mind the back. The back feels pretty good now that I messed around with some of those lumbar cables and loosened those up so that it can have more of a natural contour with my spine. In factory condition, these seats are horrible, worst I've ever been in. But once I disconnected some of those cables back there, the back feels pretty good now. So I don't mind that at all. And now I think this Durofoam lower cushion is going to be pretty nice. It gives me more support, if that makes any sense, and I like it. I like the way this feels. So can't wait to put these back in the truck and get this hooked up and see if my heated seats are going to work. Should work just fine since it's brand new. It's going to be nice. So it's the second day. I worked on this for about an hour last night, and of course this time of the year the sun goes down at 5:20 in the evening, which really sucks. So you don't have much time to get things done after work or after the end of the day. So I did work on it for about an hour last night and I ran out of daylight, but I did get the seat pretty much done. So now I'm to the point where I'm ready to wire this thing up. So what I'm thinking about doing, of course obviously that's the driver's side over there, I'm thinking about mounting the switch for this heated seat down in here somewhere. There's actually a cup holder that's removable, but it kind of sits right here at the front of the console. It'll be down in this area when everything is installed. And that might be a real good place to put the switch for the heated seat. And I don't mind to drill a hole in that thing because that's easily replaceable. I'd rather drill a hole in that than put a hole up here in the dash somewhere. So I'm thinking about doing that. And that will also allow me to run all of my wires underneath the console. And I can take the wires that power the heated seat right underneath the seat where they'll be out of sight, out of mind. And then I can run the power wires underneath of this vinyl flooring down here to the fuse box, because on these Ford Super Duties, the fuse box body control module is over here under this kick panel. So you can see I took the passenger seat out. I wasn't wanting to do that, but the reason I did that is because Ford, in their brilliance, put an extra bolt in the console on this side only that's down really low. So you can get to this one and you can get to that one with the seat installed, but you can't get to that lower one, of course. So I had to take this seat out also to get to that bolt over there. Really annoying, but you know, that's how things like this go. By the way, all of these bolts to remove the seats and to remove the console have been 13 millimeter. So at least you have one socket that you can use on everything. So a total of 5 bolts, console flipped up out of the way. I got it held up with a brick at the moment because all I need to do is get under here and run my wiring. I'm gonna go find like a piece of wire or a clothes hanger or something, and I'm just gonna fish the wire underneath of the vinyl flooring, like I said, and then kind of bundle up the rest of it over there that I don't need. And I'll leave my switch dangling out here so I can mount it later. So that's the plan for now. And then, like I said, once we get the wires over here, I'll just pull this kick panel off and I'll tap it right there because that's where all the fuses are. So here's the wire harness that they give you. So one end, you've got your little relay here. And then that goes to your high-low switch. Okay, so you do have low power and high power settings on this heated seat. And then from there, you go down to a fused power wire and a ground. Okay, and they give you, you notice they give you one of those jumper, little jumpers there, so you can just stick this in the fuse box wherever you can find a properly rated fuse. Now the fuse that's in line here is a 10 amp fuse. The instructions say that this heated seat will draw 4 amps, okay? So technically speaking, you could use a 5 amp fuse in your fuse box, but I'll probably, since they put a 10 amper in here, I might as well tap this into a 10 amper in there. And then of course you've got your connections to power the seat pads, the heated seat pads that I installed in the seat. So it's really nice that they give you this harness already pre-made and ready to rock. So all I got to do is fish it where I want it to go, and then I can finally start putting my interior back together. Something else I will say, guys, this looks really intimidating. I mean, I've got both of my seats out and the console tilted back and stuff laying everywhere, trim pieces taken off. It looks intimidating, but it's really not that bad, honestly. I mean, I take more time shooting video than I do actually doing this. Like I said, these trim pieces here will just pop right off. And once I got this seat out and I took these trim pieces right here out, what I have found is that I don't even need a fish tape. I've been able to just lift the vinyl flooring up, and I can get my whole arm under there and grab the wires and pull them over here where I need them. So everything is going really smooth. I got my power and my ground over here, and now what I'm going to do is take some protective wire wrap, some wire loom, and I'm going to put it around these little wires so that they don't get pinched up under here, because you don't want any kind of like shorts, or you don't want to burn your truck down basically. So I'm going to protect it with some of this stuff and tidy it all up. And again, it's not that bad to do this, and it pays to take the time to do this and do it right. You'll be glad that you did in the long run. So go ahead and finish this up, and here's something else I'll show you that I have kind of decided to call an audible. So I was talking about putting the switch over here, but I noticed, you can't really see it, but up under the console here, there's a sharp edge, and when I drop the console back down and bolt it on, it's going to be pinching the wire right there. So that's no good. No bueno. Can't do that. So I think what I'm going to do instead is just mount my switch onto the seat. A lot of people do that. You can put the switch right here or right here, and that way it's still easy to get to, and I won't have to worry about having any wires pinched up under the console. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I got to the part where it's time to mount the switch to the seat. You can see where I put it. It almost looks like a factory installation. So the instructions said to use a 25-30 seconds drill bit, which is a 20mm drill bit. What I do when I'm drilling on plastic is I always go a size smaller than the instructions say, because you can always make it bigger, but you can't make it smaller, right? So start small, and if you have to, you can work your way up. But I found that when I drilled a 19mm hole here, with my nifty little Harbor Freight hole saw kit, it just happened to have a 19mm in it, and so I drilled that out and it fit perfect. So the switch is mounted now, and now I'm ready to put the seat in and start hooking it up. I want to see if this thing works. By the way, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, this is the whoa, hang on a second, got to focus here. Oh my goodness. Well, there it goes. Sorry about that. This camera's weird sometimes. Anyway, this is what I ended up buying. So the one that they gave me, the little jumper, it didn't work in here because these fuses are the micro 2 size. And I think that jumper is actually made for the mini size. So I had to go to the store and buy one of these little add-a-fuse guys right here. I just use the butt connector and put it on there. And the only fuse I had was a 20. I got to swap that out for another 10. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like. So now you can just plug this into the fuse location of your choice. And I've already got my ground hooked up here. So let's see if this thing works. So this thing has an indicator LED light on it. And since I have it wired to the ignition power, it should not come on right now. Oh, but it does. So what that means is I got to get back into the fuse box there, and I've got to find one that's only hot when the ignition is on. But that's not a big deal. At least we know it works. So you got high with a red LED, and low has like a green or yellow LED. Interesting. Pretty cool. So now I've got, ooh, look how much thicker that is. That's nice. You can see, of course, the fabric is still wrinkled, but man, that cushion really, that's going to be nice. This thing feels really good. By the way, I drove it to town a little while ago, and it feels really nice. I mean, it is definitely firmer. The Durofoam is firmer for sure. I really like it. My back feels better already riding on this cushion. So, going to be super nice to have heated seats this winter. This is something you guys can do. It took me some time, but it's just busy work. It's not really that difficult. It's just busy work. So another mod completed just in time for the cold weather. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.